The perfect trap. The desert was silent, covered with shadows as the last light of the sun sank below the horizon. The heat of the day faded, leaving the air sharp and cold. Alone in this vast emptiness, a man worked with steady hands. His name was Marcus Hale, an engineer who once built machines for Earth's great cities. Now, far from the noise of civilization, he was building something far different, something deadly. For weeks he had studied the alien patrols that roamed the outer lands. They were fast, clever, and merciless. Wherever their ships passed, villages burned and people vanished. Humanity called them hunters, but Marcus thought of them as invaders who believed themselves untouchable. Tonight, he was ready to prove them wrong. The trap stood in the middle of the rocky plain, like a hidden beast waiting to strike. Metal rods were buried deep into the ground, disguised by dirt and stones. Wires spread out like veins, leading to a central cage made of reinforced alloystal. Marcus had stolen from abandoned military bases. The structure looked empty, harmless even, but he knew better. Sensors were hidden in the soil, waiting to detect movement. Once triggered, a burst of energy would surge through the rods, forming an invisible wall of force around the target. Then the cage would lock, sealing shut like a prison with no door. Marcus crouched beside his console, checking every connection again. His fingers trembled, not with fear, but with anticipation. For months he had dreamed of this moment. To trap one of them alive, to prove that humans were not prey, to show the galaxy that Earth could fight back. He looked up at the night sky. Stars glimmered faintly, but he was not watching the stars, he was watching the shadows between them. That was where the alien ships moved, silent and sharp like blades in the dark. His scanner buzzed faintly, a green glow spreading across the screen. Something was coming. The sound was faint at first, like a low hum carried on the wind. Marcus froze, listening. Then the hum grew stronger, rising into a sharp whine that cut through the still air. His heart pounded. They were close. He powered up the trap. Lights flickered along the edges of the rods, too dim for the naked eye to notice, but alive with hidden energy. He crouched lower, pressing his back against a rock, his eyes locked on the open plain. Minutes stretched like hours. The wind shifted, carrying with it the smell of ozone, metallic and sharp. His scanner beeped louder. The signal was strange, heavy, uneven, unlike the smooth patterns of alien patrols. Marcus frowned, adjusting the frequency. The screen flickered, confused, as if the machine itself could not understand what it was reading. But then a shadow moved across the sand, tall, broad, not human. Marcus's breath caught in his throat. At last, the trap had its prey. The figure walked with slow, deliberate steps, its shape blurred by the darkness. It was larger than Marcus expected, taller than any alien he had seen in stolen reports. Its movements were heavy, almost dragging, like it carried weight far beyond its own body. He waited. He could not trigger the trap too soon. The target had to be inside the circle. Closer, closer. The creature's head tilted, as though sniffing the air. Then it stepped forward, straight, into the trap's heart. Marcus pressed the switch. The ground exploded with light. Bolts of energy shot upward, forming a glowing cage around the figure. Sparks danced across the air, crackling with violent power. The creature roared, a sound so deep it shook the stones. Marcus smiled in triumph. He had done it. He had captured one of them alive. But then the smile faded. Something was wrong. The sound it made was not like the alien voices he had heard before. This roar was raw, primal, filled with rage that seemed older than the stars themselves. The scanner shrieked, throwing out symbols Marcus had never seen. His chest tightened as he stared at the figure thrashing inside the cage. The shape was wrong. The arms were too long. The eyes burned too bright. And the way it moved, it was not struggling in panic. It was testing the cage. Marcus's pulse raced. He told himself it had to be an alien. What else could it be? The trap had been built for them. But deep in his gut, he knew this was different. This was something else. The creature slammed its fists against the invisible wall. Sparks flew. The rods trembled. Marcus checked the power gauge, was already dropping faster than expected. The trap was strong, but this thing was stronger. He whispered to himself, trying to stay calm. It's just an alien. Just an alien. But the truth twisted inside him like a knife. He had lured the aliens in. But what he had caught tonight was not from space. And as the creature's glowing eyes locked on his hiding place, Marcus felt the cold grip of fear close around his heart. The perfect trap had worked, but it had not caught the prey he wanted. It had caught something far more dangerous. The cage burned with light, casting wild shadows across the desert rocks. Sparks leaped into the night, and the air smelled sharp, like iron after a storm. Marcus stared at the creature inside, his hands gripping the console so hard his knuckles turned white. His plan had worked. The trap was active, but his chest tightened with each second. The thing inside wasn't what he had expected. The figure moved again, its body rippling with unnatural strength. Its shoulders hunched like a predator ready to strike, and his glowing eyes fixed on Marcus's hiding place. For a moment, Marcus felt like prey himself. He swallowed hard, forcing his breathing to stay steady. He had caught it, yes, but holding it was another story. The energy field flickered, already straining against the pressure. Then through the hum of the trap, Marcus heard something else, a distant whine, high and sharp, cutting through the night sky. His eyes shot upward. A ship, small, fast, moving. Low against the stars. Aliens. His stomach dropped. They were here. The trap had been meant for them. That was the plant to catch one, study it, use it as proof humanity could fight back. But fate had given him something else, something he didn't understand, and now the real enemy was arriving. The creature let out another roar, shaking the ground. The sound echoed across the plain like thunder. Marcus cursed under his breath. That noise would carry for miles. The aliens would hear it, follow it, and find him. The ship's lights cut through the darkness, sweeping across the sand. Marcus ducked lower, pulling his hood tighter. His console beeped with warning signs. Power was draining fast. He risked a glance at the gauge. At this rate, the cage would last maybe 10 more minutes. If the creature didn't break it first. The alien ship slowed, hovering above the desert like a hawk circling prey. Marcus pressed his back against the rock, sweat dripping down his forehead. He could almost feel their eyes searching the ground. If they found him, he was finished. The creature slammed against the energy wall again. This time, the force shook the rods in the ground, sending a tremor through Marcus's boots. The lights flickered. The monster's body shimmered strangely, as if its form didn't belong fully to this world. Marcus stared, heart pounding. He had studied alien tech for years, but this was something beyond him, something ancient, something wrong. The ship circled lower. A beam of light shot down, scanning the plain. Marcus's breath froze in his throat. The beam passed over the rocks, over the sand, and then over the cage. The creature hissed. Its eyes flared brighter. The aliens had seen it. The ship tilted, and a hatch opened on its side. Shapes dropped out, landing with a thud on the sand. Soldiers. 4 of them, tall, armored, their weapons glowing with sharp blue light. Their movements were precise. Practiced hunters ready for the kill. Marcus stayed perfectly still, his body pressed flat against the stone. His heart hammered so loud he feared they might hear it. The soldiers approached the cage, spreading out. In a formation, they spoke in sharp clicks and tones, their alien language harsh against the silence. One raised his weapon, pointing it at the monster inside. The creature stopped, thrashing. Slowly, it turned its head toward the soldiers. Its eyes narrowed. A deep growl rose from its chest, so low Marcus felt it in his bones. For a heartbeat, everything froze: the desert, the night, even the wind. Then the monster moved. It slammed against the cage with such force the rods bent. Sparks exploded, filling the air with light. The soldiers flinched, but they didn't retreat. Instead, they aimed their weapons and fired. Bolts of blue energy struck the field, making it shudder. Marcus's console screamed with warnings. Power. Levels plummeted. The trap wasn't built for this. Not for an enemy inside and fire from outside. He scrambled, trying to reroute the energy, but his fingers slipped on the controls. Panic surged through him. The cage flickered again, the walls of force thinning like smoke. The monster pressed harder, its claws sparking against the barrier. One more push, and it would be free. The aliens fired again. The light was blinding, the sound deafening. The cage howled like a dying beast. Marcus shielded his eyes, his stomach twisting with dread, and then, in one final burst, the energy field shattered. The desert went silent for half a breath. The air itself seemed to pause. Then the monster stepped forward. Free, the soldiers shouted, their voices sharp and urgent. Weapons blazed, blue fire streaking across the night. But the creature was faster. It lunged, tearing through the sand with inhuman speed. One soldier screamed as the monster's claws ripped through his armor. Another fired desperately, but his shot went wide. Marcus couldn't breathe. He had planned to catch an alien. Instead, he had unleashed a nightmare in front of them all. The monster roared again, louder than before, a sound that shook the stars themselves. And Marcus realized with horror that he was no longer in control of this night. The trap had been his weapon. But now, the desert belonged to the creature. The desert shook with violence as the monster tore into the alien soldiers. Their blue weapons flared, sending blasts of light into the darkness, but nothing slowed the creature. Its body moved with impossible speed, twisting and bending as if the laws of nature did not apply. One soldier was lifted into the air like a rag doll, his scream cut short as the beast ripped him apart. Another fell with his chest torn open, the sand drinking his blood. Marcus stayed hidden behind the rocks, his heart thundering inside his chest. His trap had failed. His plan, his careful months of work, had collapsed in one single moment. But it wasn't just failure that froze him, it was the sight of the thing. Now standing under the starlight, the creature was massive, taller than any human and broader than any alien soldier. Its skin shifted in strange patterns, dark as shadows, but glowing faintly in places, like embers inside a dying fire. Its arms were long, ending in claws that shimmered with energy, not bone or steel, but something in between. Its face was a nightmare eyes that burned gold, sharp teeth that caught the light, and a jaw that stretched wider than it should. It didn't look like something from the stars. It looked older, like something born from Earth itself, hidden for ages beneath the soil, waiting for someone foolish enough to bring it out. Marcus whispered to himself, his throat dry. This isn't alien. The last soldier fired his weapon again and again, bolts of energy crashing into the creature's chest. The ground shook with each blast, smoke rising around them. But when the smoke cleared, the beast still stood, not wounded, not weakened, only angrier. With one swift move, it crushed the soldier beneath its claws. Silence followed. Only the wind moved, carrying the scent of blood and smoke across the plain. The alien ship above hummed with panic. Its light shifted, scanning the ground in confusion. Then, with a sudden roar of engines, the craft pulled higher, retreating into the sky. They had seen enough. Even the hunters feared what walked the desert now. Marcus pressed a hand to his mouth, his breath shaky. The aliens were gone, but the monster remained. It turned slowly, its golden eyes sweeping across the desert like a predator searching for prey. Then, with chilling certainty, those eyes locked on Marcus's hiding place. His blood turned to ice. He ducked lower, but he knew it was too late. The creature had seen him. The beast began to walk, each step heavy, shaking the ground. Marcus scrambled back, his hands slipping on the rocks. His console beeped uselessly beside him, the broken trap still flickering with sparks. He had no weapon strong enough to stop this thing. No cage that could hold it. It reached the rocks, towering over him. Marcus pressed himself flat, his heart pounding so hard he thought it might burst. He couldn't move. He couldn't breathe. The monster crouched low, its face inches from his. Its eyes glowed brighter, scanning him as if peeling away his skin to see the fear beneath. Its breath was hot, heavy, carrying the smell of earth and blood. Marcus trembled, but then something strange happened. The creature did not strike. It did not tear him apart like the soldiers. Instead, it tilted its head, studying him. For a long, unbearable moment, the desert was silent. Only Marcus's shaking breaths broke the stillness. The beast leaned closer, and a sound escaped its throat knot, a roar, not a growl, but something almost like a word. Low, broken, ancient. Marcus's eyes widened. It spoke, not in alien language, not in human tongue. Something older, something he felt in his bones more than in his ears. A word that made the sand shift, the air tremble, and his heart stop. Then it straightened, towering above him, its shadow swallowing the rocks. Marcus could not understand the meaning, but he understood one thing with perfect clarity. The creature was not mindless. It was intelligent, and it was choosing. The beast turned its gaze back to the night sky, where the alien ship had fled. It raised its head and released a roar so loud it echoed across the desert for miles. It was not a cry of pain. It was a challenge, a declaration. Marcus gripped the rock to steady himself. His fear was mixed with something else. Now dread, yes, but also a terrible realization. He had thought the aliens were Earth's greatest threat, but this monster was worse. If the aliens returned in greater numbers, this creature would not hide, it would fight. And in that fight, Earth itself might burn. The wind rose, carrying dust across the plain. The creature began to walk again, moving away from Marcus, its steps slow but deliberate. It didn't kill him, not yet. Perhaps it didn't see him as prey. Perhaps it saw him as something else. Marcus sat frozen in the sand, his breath shallow, his mind racing. He had wanted to prove humanity could trap an alien. Instead, he had released something far beyond his understanding, something that should never have been freed. And as the monster's shape faded into the darkness, Marcus knew one truth with absolute certainty. The trap had not captured a victim. It had awakened a nightmare. The desert was quiet again, but the silence felt heavier than before. Marcus sat in the sand, his body shaking, his thoughts tangled with fear. The broken trap still sparked weakly beside him, its metal rods glowing faint orange before fading into darkness. He had no control anymore. The beast had walked free, and the aliens had fled. But Marcus knew this wasn't over. His scanner beeped. Faintly, he glanced at the green screen, his heart sinking. More signals, not one ship, not two, a whole cluster. The aliens were returning. They had seen the creature, and they weren't going to leave it behind. Marcus clenched his fists. He could run, but where? The desert stretched endlessly, with no shelter, no walls, no allies. If the aliens found him, he was dead. If the creature found him again, he was worse than dead. His mind spun with hopeless choices. The hum of engines filled the air once more, louder this time, echoing across the rocks. Marcus crawled behind the remains of his console, pressing his back against it, his breathing shallow. Dust swirled as multiple ships descended from the sky, their lights slicing the night into sharp beams. The ground shook as alien pods slammed into the desert, hatches opening like jaws. Dozens of soldiers poured out, their armor gleaming under the moonlight, weapons glowing in their hands. This was not a patrol. This was an army. They spread out, moving with precise steps, their voices sharp as they barked orders. Then the desert answered from the shadows. The creature stepped forward. It moved slowly, deliberately, as though it owned the night. The soldiers froze at the sight of it. Even their disciplined formation wavered. Marcus could see their fear in the way their weapons shook. The monster's golden eyes burned brighter, reflecting the alien lights. Its chest rose and fell with deep breaths, each one like the growl of a storm. Then it roared a sound so powerful Marcus covered his ears, his body trembling. Sand rippled outward like waves, stones rattled, and the air itself seemed to split. The aliens opened fire. The night lit up with blue fire. Beams of energy streaked across the plain, exploding against the creature's body. The impact sent shockwaves through the sand, shaking Marcus's bones. Smoke rose, flames hissed, and the soldiers pressed forward, their weapons firing without pause. But the creature did not fall. It surged forward with terrifying speed, closing the distance in seconds. Its claws tore through the first line of soldiers, scattering bodies like broken dolls. Screams filled the air as armor cracked and weapons clattered into the sand. Blood sprayed across the battlefield, glowing under the alien lights. Marcus gritted his teeth, forcing himself not to look away. He needed to understand this thing, needed to see how it fought, how it survived. But every second he watched, his stomach twisted tighter. This was no soldier. This was war itself, given form. The aliens regrouped, circling the beast. Their weapons glowed brighter, charging for a stronger strike. One raised a launcher, firing a sphere of pure energy. It exploded against the creature's side, sending shockwaves that rattled Marcus's teeth. For a moment the beast staggered, Marcus's heart leaped. Maybe it could be stopped. Maybe, but then the creature roared again, louder, angrier, and surged back into motion. It leapt onto the soldier with the launcher, tearing him apart in one brutal strike. The others broke formation, fear spreading like fire. The beast hunted them one by one, faster than their eyes could follow. Marcus's breathing grew sharp and fast. The aliens had numbers. They had weapons. They had ships, but none of it mattered. Against this thing, they were insects, and he was one of them. The battle raged on, filling the desert with fire and death. Marcus's console sparked again, drawing. His eyes, a warning flashed across the cracked screen. Energy surge detected. He frowned, wiping the dust away. His trap had been destroyed, but the sensors were still alive. They were picking up something strange. Not just alien weapons, not just the monster's energy, something deeper. The creature radiated power, the scanner struggling to measure it. Marcus stared at the readings, his chest tightening. It wasn't alien technology. It wasn't human science. It was something raw, primal, older than both. The numbers climbed higher, faster, breaking past the scanner's limits. The monster wasn't just strong. It was growing stronger. Marcus swallowed hard, his mind racing. If it killed all the aliens, what then? Would it turn on him, on humanity, or would it keep walking, unstoppable, until the world itself bent before it? He looked at the soldiers, dying one after another, and knew the truth. The trap had failed. The aliens would fail. And when dawn came, the only thing left in this desert might be the creature itself. He pressed his hand against the broken console, whispering to the night, "What have I done?" The answer came not in words, but in sound, the monster's roar, echoing across the battlefield, shaking the stars. And Marcus knew the real struggle had only begun. The desert burned with chaos. Blue fire from alien weapons lit the night, mixed with the golden glow of the creature's eyes. Bodies lay scattered across the sand, broken armor reflecting the starlight. The air was thick with smoke and blood. Every breath Marcus took sharp and bitter. He had never imagined war could look like this. Not a battle between armies, but between one monster and everything thrown against it. The creature roared, its voice shaking the earth, and the aliens faltered. Their ranks broke, their fear now greater than their training. Some fired blindly, others tried to retreat toward their ships. But the beast was faster. It lunged across the sand, slamming claws through steel armor as if it were paper. Every movement was brutal, perfect, unstoppable. Marcus crouched behind the wreckage of his console, his mind racing. He wanted to run, but his legs would not move. He wanted to scream, but his throat was locked tight. All he could do was watch as the trap he had built became the key to something much worse than aliens. The scanner at his side buzzed weakly. Its screen cracked but still alive. Marcus glanced at it. The readings spiked again, higher than before, the numbers climbing beyond reason. He wiped his eyes, but it wasn't a mistake. The creature's energy was growing stronger with every kill. It wasn't just surviving the fight, was feeding on it. Marcus's chest tightened. He understood now. The trap hadn't caught an alien. It hadn't caught a beast. It had pulled something out, something old, something Earth had buried for a reason, and now, each moment it lived, it became harder to stop. The aliens tried one final stand. Their leader shouted commands, raising a massive weapon that pulsed with deadly blue light. It fired, the blast striking the monster with the force of a falling star. The desert erupted in flame and dust, a shockwave knocking Marcus flat against the sand. His ears rang, his body numb. For a moment, silence followed. The aliens stood frozen, staring into the smoke. Marcus's heart pounded. Maybe they had done it. But then, from the haze, two glowing eyes pierced the darkness. The creature stepped forward, unbroken. Its skin shimmered with new patterns, stronger, harder, almost like armor forged from the attack itself. The aliens panicked. Their leader screamed, but his voice was drowned by the monster's roar. In seconds, the last of them were torn apart, their weapons falling silent forever. The desert returned to stillness. Only the creature remained. Marcus lay in the sand, his body trembling, his breath uneven. He knew he had seconds, maybe less before. Those golden eyes turned back toward him. He forced himself to sit up, his hand brushing the broken console. Sparks leaped from its wires, burning his fingers. The trap was destroyed, yes, but parts of it still hummed with unstable energy. An idea came to him. A desperate, dangerous idea. He could overload the console. If he fed every drop of power into the rods, the energy might explode. Enough to vaporize everything within the trap's circle. Enough to kill the creature, but also enough to kill him. His hands shook as he stared at the wires. His mind raced with memories, the months he had worked on this trap, the faces of the people he had lost to the aliens, the dream of proving humanity could fight back. If he died now, it would all end. But if he let the creature live, what future would humanity have? The ground trembled. He looked up. The creature was walking toward him again, each step slow, heavy, deliberate. Its eyes burned brighter than ever, locking onto him as if he were the only thing left in the world. Marcus swallowed hard. He had one choice left. His fingers moved. Quickly, tearing wires, crossing circuits, forcing power into the console. Sparks erupted, the rods glowing faintly again. The console wailed, red lights flashing, warning of collapse. The creature stopped a few steps away, towering over him. It tilted its head, studying him just as it had before. And again, it made a sound, not a roar, not a growl, but something low, almost like a word. Marcus froze. He didn't understand it, but it felt heavy, ancient, as if the creature were offering him something. Was it trying to speak, to bargain, to choose him instead of kill him? His hand hovered over the final switch. Sweat dripped down his face, his chest heaving. One move, and everything ended. The creature leaned closer, its glowing eyes burning into his. For a moment, Marcus felt something impossible recognition, as if the beast knew him, as if it had waited for him. His hand shook over the switch. His mind screamed at him to push it, to save the world. But his heart whispered something else. What if destroying this creature meant destroying humanity's only weapon against the aliens? What if this nightmare was not Earth's end, but its beginning? The desert held its breath. Marcus closed his eyes and made his choice.